G'day guys, Tim here from Beat the Reset with my two Army Generals. On this side, I've got the Samurai of Silver from Liberty Bullion, of course. How are you, Sammy?
Oh, fantastic as always, Timmy. What a time to be alive, some might say.
What a time indeed. And of course, the Baron of Bitcoin. What he doesn't know about Bitcoin, you could write on the back of the postage stamp. How are you, sir?
Feeling electric, brother. As always, I just want to remind the audience, you're not bullish enough. Get out there, buy more.
Absolutely. Now, guys, today the markets have absolutely gone wild. I call it the perfect storm.
Yes.
Would you like to guess why we call it the perfect storm?
You enlighten us.
Well, I call it the perfect storm because our three favorite assets are running together, as well as platinum as well.
Oh.
You're a major bull on, Sammy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start with the Samurai.
Yep.
And find out what's going on. Over to you.
So last night we saw silver go up over 2% in USD for the night. We saw platinum go up over 4% in USD for the night. That is 1 year's worth of bank interest rates in one night on platinum. So platinum's up over 30% for the year so far. Silver's coming up on 20% for the year so far.
Wow.
So what's that? 5 years of bank interest rates in less than 6 months. And platinum's doing even better. So for all those who have been listening and buying accordingly, you're probably pretty happy. And for those who are listening but not buying yet, start buying because it's going to keep going.
It's not going to stop there, is it?
No way.
And
Just the beginning, Timmy. This is just the beginning.
it sounds like a Bunnings ad.
Oh, yeah.
Just the beginning.
Lowest prices, mate.
Just the
Guaranteed.
beginning.
Wait, no.
That's another million. All right.
If you find a marked item somewhere else, you beat it by 10%.
Oh,
No,
it's not about 10%.
Don't do it, Sammy, because there are some hot deals out there at the moment, especially in other states of Australia. But anyway, moving right along. Bish, tell us what's going on with Bitcoin.
Well, Bitcoin has had a similar run and move that platinum had overnight. It was up 4%. We're now trading at just shy of 110,000. At its peak, we were just knocking on 110.5. So excellent move in Bitcoin land. Ethereum is back up to 2,800. I got some of our high value investors into some Ethereum positions earlier on in the year and it got smashed. It was down 40% at one point and they were not believing that I was getting them into the right assets. But, you know, I'm incredibly bullish on ETH and, you know, Bitcoin has just reclaimed all those previous levels that we just moved back. 112 is the all-time high on Bitcoin and I anticipate that to be smashed by the end of the week. And we haven't seen nothing yet. Bitcoin and silver are both $2 trillion asset classes trying to absorb a $100 trillion credit market that is completely in disarray. So we have only just seen the beginning of a massive continuous bull run in Bitcoin and silver.
Sammy, what do you reckon's driving this? Because these are obviously commodities are safe haven assets. What is driving this?
So, look, it's a few things in my mind, Timmy. We've seen the bond markets around the world blow up over the last week or so, particularly Japan, but also the US as well. So that's really got people shaken as to where to go for the safe haven.
Yep.
Bonds aren't looking so safe, even though they've historically been the safe haven, which has got people rushing towards the new safe haven or the old safe haven, which is precious metals. Also, I think that there's been a big change in the US with Trump's big, beautiful bill that he's bringing in, a huge spending bill. So the Republicans seem to have pivoted from, oh, we've got the Doge cuts, we're going to make the budget balanced, you know, we're going to bring back a government surplus. You know, that was never going to happen, but that was the line. And then over the last week, that line has shifted to we're going to spend way more than you thought we were going to, and we're going to print the difference out of thin air, which is what it was always going to be. But now they've come out and said it explicitly. So the market is going, oh, okay, inflation's back, is it? And they're rushing towards inflation hedge assets, gold, silver, platinum, Bitcoin, as expected. So, you know, silver's making that catch-up move, as expected by us over the last few months. Silver always outperforms gold to the upside with a lag. We've seen that lag. Now silver's doing its thing.
100%.
And platinum follows silver with a lag. So finally, platinum's doing its thing as well. It's broken out to 5-year highs. It's still super cheap compared to gold, so it's still got a long way to run here. But it's finally breaking out a long-term time frame. So super exciting. Global news pushing the big move. People rushing out of the dollar, rushing out of bonds, rushing towards assets that have held their value for 5,000 years and have always protected people from inflation. So what a time to be alive.
Bish, I want to ask you, that's
sir.
a great summary, by the way, Sammy.
It was fantastic.
And also great to see platinum running.
Oh.
Because you are a major bull on platinum.
Yes.
And it's always
Yeah.
good to see that.
Yeah.
Bish, you know, people have said to us on the journey, I'm going to wait for Bitcoin to go down before I start buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just going to wait until it drops in price.
Yep.
Is this the right strategy?
I mean, look, how many more dips could you possibly want? We had the Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. Bitcoin went from 88K at that time right down to 74. We had Trump and Musk having their lovers quarrel in, Pride Month of all things as well. It's so disappointing to see. But, they had their lovers quarrel. We went from like 106 down to 100 for some reason. And now we're back at 110. So how many more dips do you want before you buy the dip? I mean, look, we're seeing a continuous bid on Bitcoin. All of the dips are getting completely bought up. And that, to add on to what Sammy was saying, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent himself, at the publication of the Big Beautiful Bill, said we cannot cut our way out of our deficit. We have to grow nominal GDP, right? They're going to grow their way out of it, which is essentially code word for printing the living daylights out of the US dollar. They've already decided that they're going to sacrifice the US dollar on the altar of financial markets in order to support the bond market, in order to support the US economy, because they don't want to trigger a crash. They don't want to trigger a depression. So what they're going to do, rather than going down the austerity route, they're going down the hyperinflation route. And that's where we're going to see Bitcoin easily reclaim, go well, truly north of 200,000. We're talking about Bitcoin, gold, and silver predominantly as assets that are going to absorb $100 trillion credit market. That is a massive amount of capital that's going to rotate into assets that combined between Bitcoin, gold, and silver only have a market cap of $25 trillion.
Yeah.
So if they were to absorb this credit market that is showing massive signs of distress, that would easily put Bitcoin at 500,000, silver at $500 an ounce, and gold well and truly north of 5,000 US an ounce.
So that's a really interesting point about the printing.
Mhm.
And you said they seem to have chosen hyperinflation over austerity. What
Yeah.
a surprise.
We've just seen it
Good to see it coming.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We need to do a whole new photo for our
No.
camera. Like, what?
I mean, it was almost like there's this,
Really?
this huge reset that was coming.
Yeah,
They were going to reset the debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was planned or something, and someone wrote a book. Never mind.
Anyway.
That's crazy.
Who would have guessed it?
So, Sammy, I just want to ask you about currency printing, because I always feel like with commodities, especially gold and silver, that the printing of the currency directly affects their value.
Yeah.
So when we hear that the Federal Reserve are going to start printing,
Yeah.
who does that benefit exactly?
Well, it essentially, in general, it benefits all asset holders. Anybody who owns an asset that's denominated in dollars, technically, it would
Except for
benefit
bond
you.
holders.
Except for bond holders, because they're losers.
Yeah. I mean, Schiff recommends sometimes buying bonds. That shows you he's an in-system.
I was going to say,
There's a lot of curious, questionable things.
I don't agree with Shiffy on that one. But yeah, look, it's a great question. Essentially, all asset holders minus bond holders, but it really, really benefits those who hold monetary assets: gold, silver, Bitcoin, platinum. These are the assets it benefits the most. Inflation hedge assets, because this massive currency printing is going to push through massive inflation, and that massive inflation is going to mainly benefit people who have protected themselves against it financially. So when you see the money printer being turned on in the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Chinese Central Bank, our Reserve Bank here in Australia, as a gold and silver holder or as a Bitcoin holder, you should have a little party, because that benefits you at the expense of everybody who doesn't own the stuff, unfortunately. But our doors are open for everyone.
It's a great point. And I also want to ask about Bitcoin here. Is Bitcoin also impacted by the same market forces that gold and silver are impacted? In other words, the printing of currency and the increase of debt ceiling.
Absolutely. I mean, if you looked at the last time they increased the debt ceiling, cut interest rates down to zero, and pumped the system with liquidity, Bitcoin went from 3,000 to 65,000 within 6 months. A massive, massive move. And now I'm anticipating Bitcoin to move from 110, just shy of where we are at the moment, all the way up to 200,000 within the next 6 months. And that's not a crazy fantasy number that I pulled off the top of my head. It's just showing that the market cap can double from 2 trillion to 4 trillion. When people say that doesn't seem realistic, gold this year in the first 4 months of 2025 added $6 trillion to its market cap, going from 18 trillion up to 24 trillion. So can Bitcoin do the same? Absolutely. But where I also see a lot of value, and I agree with Sammy on this, is silver, because Bitcoin and silver are only $2 trillion in market cap, which it's just so small. There's like a tiny little door. There's only 21 million Bitcoin on the planet, and there's a huge silver supply shortage at the moment. You combine those factors with an unlimited print of US dollars and the fact that you add the Australian government that's trying to increase their tax revenues through all kind of creative things, whether they're going after property or unrealized capital gains, it's just going to make scarce neutral assets like Bitcoin, gold, and silver just get absolutely sent above power.
Well, technically, there isn't 21 million Bitcoin on the planet, Bish. Not unless we got a time machine.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is less than that.
I
So
know.
at the moment, it's even more restrictive than that.
Correct. Correct.
So I just wanted to say that it's actually worse than that. So, and I want to ask a question about supply on Bitcoin and commodities. Are we going to have a supply problem?
Absolutely. There's not enough supply out there in the market right now to satisfy all the demand that is that's about to come in. So whether you're talking about people who are losing faith in currencies, people who are losing faith in traditional safe havens, people who are looking at being able to have a hedge on inflation, people who are looking at getting out of in-system assets, whether that be real estate, equities, there's not enough assets, not enough supply to cater to all that demand. And basic economics 101, when the supply stays the same or constrained, and demand increases, the price has to shift up the equilibrium curve to satisfy all the new buyers and hopefully bring new sellers into the market.
Yep. Same for you, Tim.
Look, absolutely. People ask me the question all the time, is there a silver shortage? Should I be worried about it? The answer is yes. We use about 300 million ounces a year of silver more than we mine. So that shortage has to come from somewhere. At the moment, it's being pulled out of the vaults in London at the LBMA. But they've only got a finite supply there, right? And once it's run out, then you've got serious problems. Now, in this scenario, price adjusting upwards fixes it. Price going up means that more mines come online, more people that have been sitting on their silver for years and years as an investment can sell it for a profit. So price going up does fix things, but it takes a while to bring a new silver mine online, and price going up often means that more people buy as well. So yeah, look, I think that there is a shortage in the silver market. As we see more and more people rush in to buy physical bars, I think we're going to see delivery timeframes blow out from the refineries. But even as we are at the moment, there is not much silver above ground available for sale. And as more people realize that and rush in, it's going to get spoken for. So my 2 cents is get it while it's available, get it whilst the delivery timeframes aren't too long. Because when we see this huge rush in for silver, the timeframes for deliveries will blow out. So, at the moment, we're looking at a couple of weeks delay from the refinery for 1 kilo bars. But in the past, that's blown out to a couple of months. And, when people kind of rush in this time around, I think we're going to see a 3-4 month time frame for delivery.
So we saw the RBA and the Treasurer come out. Jim Chalmers, wonderful man. Wonderful font of knowledge when it comes to monetary system.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's giving all of his politician buddies exemptions from unrealized capital gains. What an absolute gentleman.
So I now identify as a politician. What about you?
Yeah, well, I'd rather kill myself.
Good point.
Well said.
Well, there's your option there.
Yeah.
Unrealized capital gains or kill myself.
No, you can go offshore. I identify as an Emirati, actually.
Yeah. So my question is, they're getting cute with the terminology. They don't want to say we're in a recession.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're in a
per capita.
Per capita.
Can we just take a moment, Bull? Just take a moment
Take
to
as much time
realize
as you like.
how funny they are when they come up with these statements. So, Ursula von der Leyen is seizing,
Nationalising.
Sorry, not seizing.
Not taking,
Nationalising unused savings accounts.
Unused.
They're
What are your funds doing in the bank at the moment?
Totally
There you
unused.
go. Making more dollars.
I mean, your bank has chosen that they will be unused.
Your whole bank account's been unused at the moment.
So, and then on top of that, they've got unrealized capital gains. I mean, by its very definition, if you haven't realized it, it's unrealized. And they have a per capita GDP. They come up with such interesting language, guys. Yeah, it's very fascinating.
Per capita. What is even? I Googled per capita the other day. What if you hear the word per capita? What does that mean to you guys? Like, what do you think?
I mean, it's like if you look at, like, say, for example, 2% of the population creating 60% of violent crime, for
Yeah.
example. That's per
Per
capita.
capita.
Yeah.
It's like it's per person. It's a per person recession
Yep.
as opposed to a recession.
Oh yeah, I'm glad they made that distinction, Tim, because it's so important in my mind. Yeah.
So
It's a funny one. It's
We're in a recession. They're going to come for unrealized capital gains and they're coming for unused savings. So that's what it is.
yeah, and they're coming for your property.
So not only do they play word games with you, unrealized capital gains and all of this stuff, not only that, but they also gaslight you with inflation data. I mean, the government says that inflation's 2.7%. I mean, if anybody really believes that, I feel sorry for them. So they'll gaslight you with inflation data. They'll play word games with you. They'll tax the living daylights out of you. They'll muck around with your funds in the bank. And if you got anything to say about it, well, you get shut down on social.
Well,
media.
you
So-
mentioned the commercial banks, and of course, look, I mean, let's try and be nice here, but
I mean, on that note, before we get into the commercial banks, because I want to tear them to shreds. If the government, and I get this question all the time, well, what is a poor man or woman to do in this environment with a very hostile government? Well, my dear friends, you get yourself a Bitcoin Bluetooth wallet. This is thinner than a bank card. It's lighter. It's a couple of grams. You put it in your pocket. You book your next flight to Monaco, Dubai, any tax safe haven that you can go to, and you domicile yourself elsewhere. So I'm actually going to be doing a dedicated webinar with you on this topic, where how you can protect yourself by being a sovereign global individual. Do not get married to your tax jurisdiction, because Australia is planning on widening its tax net as much as possible, but that doesn't mean you have to get taxed aggressively. Sammy, Tim, and I pay as little tax as possible in a completely legal manner because we use our
minimization.
minimization, not avoidance.
Not avoidance.
No,
Not avoidance.
no.
Yes, we would never advocate for that,
Never.
but it could be close to zero. But what I mean, that's what I mean by minimization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Sammy, I guess the big question that everybody wants to know is what should they buy? If you were in gold, silver, and platinum right
Yep.
now, how would you diversify? Let's say you had 100 gorillas.
Yep.
How would you diversify?
So look, I say it again, silver and platinum. Focus on silver. Silver is the monetary metal here. So I'd be putting 70% into silver and then the rest into platinum. So, platinum's having a great run. It's just the very beginning. It's breaking out on long-term time frames. It's still super cheap compared to gold. It'll do great from here. Look, gold's great. Gold's a great investment. People ask me all the time, Sam, why aren't you excited about gold as you are about silver and platinum? Because the opportunity in silver and platinum is that much bigger. Both of them are going to outperform gold massively over the next 5 to 10 years. So if you're asking me today, where do I put my funds? The answer is not into gold. Gold's great. The answer is into silver and platinum. So mostly silver, given it's the safer asset, given that monetary history, 70% into silver, 30% into platinum. In terms of which products, I would broadly recommend the 1 kilo silver bar and the 1 ounce platinum bar. We've also got different coins and stuff that you can look at as well. But focus on silver. Silver's going to outperform gold. It's the safe asset. And then platinum to spice up your stack a bit. Platinum is doing extremely well. It will continue to do extremely well. So make sure you've got some.
And I should just say as a disclaimer for the people listening, Sammy, that you're not a lover of gold in any way at all. This is all platinum and silver. Okay, Bish, what should people be buying right now?
Look, as always, I'm going to be advocating and focusing on Bitcoin. It is the ultimate digital asset. It is decentralized. It's permissionless. I can't speak highly enough of it. Now, if you are wanting to add some risk into your portfolio, there are 3 general categories that you and I always focus on, which is ISOs, layer 1s, and RWAs. I have a particular fondness for layer 1s at the moment, particularly Ethereum and Sonic. Sonic is undervalued of the 2 of them. So Sonic is trading at around 40 cents at the moment. If it was just to reclaim its local high that it set in January of 2025, that would be a 350% upside move from where we are now. So massive, massive potential in Sonic. But again, that only needs to be a really small portion of your overall digital asset portfolio, because you don't want to allocate too heavily to the high risk, high reward plays. Just focus on your Bitcoin. 80-90% of your portfolio should always be Bitcoin. And if you find some of your altcoins really running, rotate those profits into Bitcoin or gold, silver if you want to go real risk off. But that's the way I'm focusing on it. So Bitcoin, ETH, Sonic, and then sprinkle in some XRP, you'll be good to go. But again, I just want to reiterate, focus on Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen.
100%. Sammy, 50 US an ounce for silver. How soon? We're watching it move now. over to you for, now we're not going to hold you to this, but just,
Well, no, we will hold you to it.
Mitch and I want to have that, but that
You
yacht
want
trip.
that yacht
The yacht-
party?
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
yacht
I don't
party.
care about the prize, it's
No,
at the yacht party.
You and me both, Timmy. Well, look, I've been saying it for a while. 40 US silver is going to come within the next month. 2 months at the very most, I'd say within the next month. I mean, we're at 36 today, right? So we're almost there. Now, 50, I think we will see a little pullback at 40. I'd say we're going to see 50 within the next year. I think that's a safe bet. You could even say within the next 6 months. I wouldn't want to stake my reputation on that call completely, but we very well could see it, and we will see it within the next 12. So it's coming. It could come quicker than expected, particularly given the speed of the move at the moment. We're going to see 40 within the next month, 2 at the most, and 50 US within the next 12, potentially even within the next 6.
That's
6
amazing.
would be great because it would be just perfect timing for summer,
Oh,
and then
yes.
we're out on the water.
That would
So,
be
Sammy, you've got to work the markets a little bit here.
Look, I'll call up Jerome. I'll tell him to print some more for us, all right?
Well,
no,
we haven't even factored that in. They're starting to cut rates. The ECB recently cut
Oh,
rates 8 times in the last
50,
year and a half. Yeah.
50 basis points.
Yep. So they cut that, and the US is.
Oh, sorry, ECB. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was talking about RBA. Sorry.
Well, they're all cutting now, right?
Yeah.
Except for the Federal Reserve, which we haven't.
Well, they also had a rate cut.
Well, Trump's putting pressure on him to cut. He's saying
He's
he's cut
putting,
here.
he's putting in a new.
Well, they had it.
We haven't even spoken about this. So Jerome is likely on his way out. He's going to get picked up by some Wall Street investment firm for sure.
Yep.
And then we're going to see a new Fed chairman being put in place, who's going to be a lover of Trumponomics, which means cut rates and print currency.
Oh,
and
increase tariffs.
And yeah, well, increase tariffs to offset the tax cuts. But in any case, what we're looking at is as you described, the perfect storm. I mean, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin's at $150,000 within the next month. And like Sammy said, silver at $50 within the year. I think end of year, absolutely. I agree with you. And Bitcoin at 200K within 12 months is completely realistic.
Sammy, question.
Yep.
If Bitcoin suddenly breaks out to 150,000,
Yep.
is that going to have any is there any correlated impact on commodities?
Look, not strictly. I would say in that scenario in which Bitcoin breaks out to 150, I think commodities would move with it. Silver in particular would move up substantially. There's not a strict correlation, but I would expect them to move together.
Because the reason I say that, I sense some of the market forces that drive Bitcoin, like
Yes.
the confidence and so on,
Yeah.
are sort of similar to some of the market forces that we're talking about.
Gold is the king, right? Is the king of monetary assets and is the king of the monetary system. When gold ran, you were doing cartwheels in Perth Airport, right? When gold
was a good cartwheel. Was
that
that Perth?
was Perth,
Yeah.
mid-March.
Did we post that video?
No,
no.
Well, hold Sammy to ransom. I'll post the video.
Get silver to 50. We had seen gold make this massive move. It increases market cap. Guys, I can't stress this to you. It increases market cap by $6 trillion. That is larger than Bitcoin and silver combined in 4 months. So when gold ran, and even though Bitcoin was having a complete pullback and silver was just chopping around, me and Sammy, we were just chill because we knew that when gold ran, that's a signal for all the other monetary assets to get ready to rock and roll. And so what we're just seeing now is just a natural catch-up move.
Well, that's exactly what Sammy says. Gold runs first.
Yep. And silver runs further. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. And, you know, I've been saying this for the last few months, guys. This gold run is great, but you need to focus on silver because the catch-up move in silver is going to be epic. It's going to be mind-blowing. And for all those who have listened and have bought a lot of silver, congratulations. It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. All right. Boys, let's start to wind it up. Bish, any final words for the audience before? How do they get Bitcoin, by the way?
They give me a call, they pick up the phone, give me a ring, or you send an email to trade@stormrake.com. So Tim will put my number in the show notes, or you email trade@stormrake.com. My team will look after you. We're available 7
And
days
it's
a week,
easy.
365.
It's easy to buy Bitcoin.
Oh,
The reason
man.
I say that is last night we had a lady who said it's all too complicated. How complicated is it?
I mean, literally, if you can send an email, or if that's too difficult, just pick up the phone and say hello, then that's fine. If you can tune into an Instagram live stream to say it's too difficult, you definitely can jump on the phone and give us a call and say, I'd like to buy some Bitcoin. That's not a problem.
Yeah. It'd be a bit weird if they just rang up and said hello, and then because they have to say a bit more.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to buy some Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's it.
Not just
absolutely.
hello. So there is a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
So hello, I'd like to buy some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Sammy, how do they get gold and silver?
So look,
And platinum?
on our website, we've got an 03 number. Feel free to call that number 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. We've got a fantastic team that can answer all your inquiries, get you sorted out through that number. You're also welcome to just email in, sales@libertybullion.com.au. Feel free to send us an email. So reach out, or you can come into the store. We do physical over-the-counter transactions as well. Feel free to bring some cash in if you'd like, or you can just pop an order through our website. Hop on, find the items you like, pop them in your shipping cart, bang, place an online order just like anything else. So yeah, super easy. It's not rocket science to buy bullion, guys.
Absolutely, and I'll put all the links below. Now, boys, we haven't done our little fist pump thing, so
Yeah, absolutely.
already?
Bitcoin.
Research.
Bullion!
Beat the reset.
I didn't know what the other bit was.
Make good choices.
Make a choice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. I think you made that up. All right, well, that's it for us from beautiful Brunetti Oro at 257 Pond Street. At the ground floor, Sammy. This is at the ground floor.
Ground floor, mate. Ground floor. Getting in on the ground floor.
Yeah, getting down on the ground floor. Bishy came all the way over from
11 Queens Road.
11 Queens
We're
Road.
actually opening up more space on the office because we've outgrown it. We're going to have a dedicated client.
So much Bitcoin to hold.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
gonna expand the
that's right. So we've got we've actually hired 3 new developers because we're building new features in the client portal. So now it's all looking very good, and we're going to have a dedicated client showroom for you guys to come in and trade with us over the counter. Yeah, you're not going to walk away with anything physical, but it can be posted out into your wallet.
Yeah, and it's not just a counter with you trading over the counter. They can actually physically come behind the counter and see you.
Yeah, give me a cuddle. That's fine.
It's the only reason they come down. All right, that's it for me. Guy in the hat from Beat the Reset with my 2 Army Generals, the Samurai Silver from Liberty Bullion, the Baron of Bitcoin from Stormrake, and as always, look after your health, look after your families, and
Make
good
Choices!
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.